Hey guys, it's me, Dax Moy from DaxMoy.com, back with another one of my mad ramblings. Today I want to spend a little bit of time just talking to you about the concept of self-esteem. See, self-esteem it's a major area in terms of not just goal accomplishment, but in terms of actually living the kind of lives that most of us want to live. And that includes obviously our health and our wellness, kind of, you know, getting into better shape, looking a bit better, feeling a bit better about who we are from a physical perspective. But it goes on into so many different areas, and it goes into how we think about finances. It goes into how we think about success in general. It goes into how we think about our relationships and much, much more. Okay, so self-esteem is a major issue, and a lack of self-esteem, a lack of belief in a lot of people, is what causes them to essentially act out of alignment with their most desired response. Okay, so if you've got low self-esteem, you have a tendency to believe that things aren't going to work out for you the way you planned. So I guess there's part of the mindset that sort of says, well, if I know in advance this really isn't going to work for me, why the hell should I put all the effort into actually getting there? Because I really don't believe I'm going to get there. Okay, so and this is what happens for a lot of people. Their self-esteem also puts them into the position where they are judging their success on the success of others. So I see this all the time. I see this in my communities or my online challenges and so on, where somebody may have lost 3 or 4 pounds in the last week. They suddenly hear that somebody else has lost 10 or 15, and now immediately their own success has been overshadowed, and they believe that what they're doing isn't working and it wasn't a good and valid contribution. Okay, so today I just really want to talk a little bit about that and talk to you about the simplicity of self-esteem, because it's not a very complicated area to address, even though many life coaches, many personal trainers, many self-help gurus would like to make you think it's a really difficult area. Once someone's got low self-esteem, you've got to spend ages and ages and ages trying to address it. And that's simply not the case. My own experience as a coach working with people has shown me that people can see improvements and even massive increases in their self-esteem in very, very short spaces of time, just by paying attention to, I guess, the one thing that it seems nobody else around is paying attention to. Okay, so I'm going to use my whiteboard for this, and we'll go into it a little bit more depth on it, because there's a couple of areas that I really want to show you, and it's best illustrated. So here's what I want you to think about whenever you think about self-esteem. Self-esteem, it can really be summarized in this, and it's a really simple way to think about it. Self-esteem is little more than the promises you made that you kept. Okay? So self-esteem is the promises that you made that you actually kept. Now, a lot of people generally tend to go through life thinking big. Okay? They think of really big goals, really challenging goals, and for whatever reason they get scared by them. They don't take any action on them, or maybe it even is just a case of the self-esteem is not allowing that to take place. And here's why, and I think it's a really simple concept. If you imagine this, I think of self-esteem really like nothing more than a bank account. Okay? Now, if self-esteem is this idea of promises that you made that you kept, then self-esteem in practicality actually looks like this. You said you were going to do something, and because you did it, you get a credit in your bank account. Okay? You said you were going to do something else, you did it, you got a credit. You said you were going to do something else, you did it, you got a credit. And throughout life, you're building up these credits. Okay? And these credits could quite easily be called self-esteem. In other words, what it means is that you have all this cash to spend on things that scare you and things that may intimidate you a little bit and things that you're a bit worried about, will they work, won't they work? But you've got this self-esteem, you've got this credit that actually allows you to pursue even in the knowledge that you may fail. Okay, but here's another way to look at exactly the same thing. If you're the kind of person who promises to start that diet or do those New Year's resolutions or whatever it is, and you don't do it, you make a deficit. Okay, your bank account gets overdrawn. If you then kind of build upon that and you say, oh no, I'm supposed to be doing this, but one chocolate biscuit won't hurt, and I'm supposed to do that, and I said I wasn't going to shout at the kids, and whatever it is, before you know it, your self-esteem bank account is in massive deficit. Okay, which means that your belief in yourself and your faith that things are going to work out the right way for you is pretty much non-existent. You've got a long way to go before you even get back to ground zero. So what this means is that when your self-esteem is in this position, when it's overdrawn, you are fearful of a lot more things. You believe in yourself far less, and of course it's natural that you believe in yourself far less, because let's face it, if we bring this down to bare bones, the way part of your mind is working here is it's saying, well, hold on, you tell me that all the time, but you just lie. Because this is every broken promise to yourself is far more harmful to you and your self-esteem than most people would have you believe. Okay? And every single time you set yourself a new goal and you go, this time I'm going to do it. This time I'm really going to make it happen. This bank account immediately comes into place and goes, no you're not. I don't believe you. Okay? Because every time you've made the promises, you've not kept them. Okay? And this is why I reinforce here that self-esteem is very little more than the promises you've made to yourself that you've actually kept. Whereas your lack of self-esteem has got to do with setting goals, setting targets, setting promises that for one reason or another you didn't stick with. So look, I know that seems like, God, this is far too simple to be true. Of course, there's a whole bunch of other things tied up in self-esteem. How people treat me, how people behave around me, kind of the influences that have come into my life. All of these, make up my self-esteem. My partner was horrible to me. My parents called me nasty names and all the rest of it. Well, look, I'm here to tell you, it is as simple as this, right? Because other people can't make you feel any way that you don't want to feel if your self-esteem bank account is high enough. So look, if you were to come and call me a whole bunch of nasty names, I've got quite high self-esteem. I feel really good about myself. I feel that I go through life keeping more of my promises than I break. And when I do break them, okay, when I do occasionally break them by accident, well, just like the chart I showed you here, I've actually been building up all of this credit like this, so that when my credit's built up and I break the occasional promise by accident, and I let myself down or I let other people down, it doesn't take me into deficit. It doesn't make me immediately start to think, oh, I'm a bad person, I'm a failure, I'll never do it. And likewise, if somebody were to try to be offensive to me, to be rude to me, to be arrogant to me, to try to undermine me, at this stage of my life, it'd be very, very difficult for you to do that, because my self-esteem is high. The bank account has been topped up for a very, very long time. You could directly get up in my face and say to me that I'm a useless human being, I don't serve anybody, that kind of who I am and what I stand for is a waste of time, and it would make no difference to me. And yet, if I've gone through my life continuously lying to myself, continuously dropping the ball in those areas that matter so much, then maybe your transgressions against me are going to feel really hurtful and really painful. Okay? And so look, what am I getting at here? Hopefully you get this. Hopefully you understand the direction I'm going with this. Life success ultimately hinges on your self-esteem, okay? Because your self-esteem is your estimation of your own worth, of your own value. And you value yourself to the degree that you keep your promises. Every promise you break is another indicator to yourself that you are in some way, shape or form a liar, okay? I'm not calling you that. I'm just what I'm saying here is that if you've said you were going to do something and you didn't do it, in some way, shape or form, in the deep parts of your brain learns not to trust you. It says, I know you said you were going to start that diet on Monday, but actually if I look at your track record from every other time you've tried it, you didn't follow through on it. I call liar on you, and I say that's not going to happen. And the trouble is, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Okay, and it's an ever-descending spiral, because now you don't see it through, and that's another coin in the negative balance. That's another withdrawal. That's another kind of saying, well, do you know what? There's some more proof. There's some more proof that you don't follow through on the things that you say you're going to do as you go through life. Okay, so here's what I'm saying here: set price. Have the biggest goals in the world. Dream big, dream huge. Dream as big as you possibly can, but at the same time, break those dreams down into smaller promises. Okay, for the next 30 days, I am going to. Okay, and if 30 days is too long because your self-esteem isn't big enough to carry you across 30 days, then make yourself a promise for today. Today, I am going to ... What is that thing? Okay, and whatever you promise yourself you're going to do it for that day. Okay, tomorrow is a completely different day. Maybe tomorrow you're going to write new rules for yourself. Maybe something really stressful has happened. Maybe something really upsetting has happened, and you say, do you know what? Today I'm not making any promises of the sort. Today I'm going to kind of do these things, and I know it's not on my big plan, but rather than set myself up to tell myself a lie, rather than set myself up to fail, I'm going to set myself up to succeed. Okay, so maybe your promise to yourself today is, you know what, today I'm going to have 2 cups of coffee and an almond croissant, right? Maybe that's what your promise is today. And so then if you have 2 cups of coffee and an almond croissant, then you've kept your promise to yourself. Your self-esteem still goes up, even though in the grand scheme of things we might consider the behavior to be a negative behavior, right? So, you know, just think in terms of this. Every single promise you make is another coin in the bank account, another credit. And what life is kind of about, what, you know, and certainly the successful life, and when I say successful, I don't mean having the 6-pack abs or the $1 million bank account or any of these things. By successful, I mean a happy life. That, for me, that's what success is. What makes a life really, really successful is faith and belief in yourself. And that faith and that belief in yourself can only come from telling yourself truths, making promises to yourself, and keeping them. And in much the same way as in any other relationship in life, if someone comes walking through the door here now, makes me a promise, walks away and comes back and doesn't fulfill the promise, I don't trust them. And certainly if they keep coming back and making me a promise and then leaving, and coming back making a promise and leaving, I definitely don't trust them, okay? Well, it's no differently with your relationship with yourself. If you continuously make promises to you and you don't keep the promises, then you stop trusting yourself. If you stop trusting yourself, it means that you stop believing in yourself. And if you stop believing in yourself, that's when life gets pretty crappy and when it feels really, really difficult to take control of anything. So look, I hope you found this little mad rambling useful. I hope it's given you a new perspective on promises. I hope it's given you a new perspective on self-esteem. And what I'm really hoping for is that you can take this forward and just with the simple, basic idea of setting yourself small promises every day to keep and actually keeping them. Okay, and if you can go one better than that, if you can use those promises as part of your victory journal in the evening, every night sit down and say, hey, I did it. I did exactly what I set out to do. And there may only be small things, right? With a child, it might be kind of brush your teeth when you first wake up and just before you go to bed. It's a promise kept. Okay? What the promise is irrelevant. It's the fact that a promise was kept. Okay? So here's to hearing about your self-esteem going up. Here's to hearing about promises being kept. And here's to you living a successful and happy life. This has been Dax Moy. Another Mad Rambling. Take care.